Hi, Maureen.
Hi.
Vince is there. Louise, Brad. Anyone else we're expecting? Oops, sorry.
I'm not sure if there are any others. I know we do have quorum at this stage, so you could start if you'd like.
I thought it's 3:59. One more minute to go. Oh, just thought, wait.
Yes.
Okay, in that case, now let us begin the meeting. Good afternoon, and welcome to this virtual meeting of the Audit, Finance and Risk Committee of the Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation, which is being live streamed. In addition to the participating board members and the leadership team, I'm pleased to welcome our virtual audience and thank you for joining us. I want to thank Grant, Vince, and their teams for the preparation of the materials brought forward for today's meeting. Today, we will be reviewing the 2023 Q2 financial results and the reconciliation of actuals with the budgeted amounts and the 2024 preliminary draft budget. We will also have an update on the strategic financial sustainability planning. Let us begin with the Land and African Ancestral Acknowledgement. Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation acknowledges that we are on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13, signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit, and the Williams Treaties, signed with the multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. The Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation acknowledges all treaty peoples, including those who came here as settlers, as migrants, either in this generation or in generations past, and those of us who came here involuntarily, particularly those brought to these lands as a result of the transatlantic slave trade and slavery. We pay tribute to those ancestors of African origin and descent. Now, the next item is item number 3, approval of the public meeting agenda. Are there any amendments to the public agenda? Having heard none, may I now have a motion for approval of the public agenda?
So move, Mr. Chair.
I second that, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, seconded by Fareed. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
So it's carried. Next is item number 4. That's conflict of interest declaration. Does any member have any conflict? Hearing none, let us move to the next item. That's item number 5, approval of the public minutes of meeting of May 25th, 2023.
So move, Mr. Chair.
I need a seconder. Fareed, would you like to move? Second
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, carried. Now, next is item number 6, approval of the AFRC's closed session minutes of the meeting of May 25th. Again, I think moved by Fareed and
Seconded by Warren.
seconded by Warren. All in favor? Carried. Now, item number 7, a review of action items. can we, or do we need to display it? Yeah,
They're all completed, I think.
yeah. Almost
Mark,
all
Yeah.
all items have been actioned.
Mr. Chair, if I may, there's one item I'd like to raise. I'm not sure if this is the appropriate time or not.
Okay, go ahead, please.
There was a request at one of the previous meetings to provide the directors with some sense of their remuneration. So we do receive remuneration from time to time, but there's little no indication of what that represents. And I thought there was some move in place to provide the members with some indication of, the payment that is being made and what it's for and that sort of stuff. I don't know where that issue is at, but I think it's been a while since we've had that discussion.
Yeah. Grant, yeah, please go ahead.
So through the chair, there is a draft board payments process that Vince has prepared for read, and we'll get that out to you. It's actually on an action list for myself to circulate out for your review, and it will articulate in more detail how that process would work. And then if there's concurrence on that, then we'll bring it forward to the next board meeting. So there is a draft of that that we can get out to you shortly.
Thank you, Grant.
And Lawrence, just for context with regards to the action list presented in the package, there were a couple of actions from the May meeting, and all of the actions have been completed.
Thank you. Yeah. Maureen?
Thanks, Reid. I'm just asking, I noticed in the action item list that Brenda had asked for a contact in the payroll department.
I did
I'm
get
wondering if I could get that as well, please.
Through the
No,
chair.
Maureen, we can follow up on that. Yeah, go ahead, Vince. Thank you.
Yeah, through the chair. Yeah, we will connect with payroll and they will provide that information. Maureen, thank you.
Thanks, Vince.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Hi. Good afternoon. This is Councillor Vince Crisanti. Sorry for the delay. I just joined now. I can only join by phone, unfortunately, but I'm here.
No problem. You're welcome.
All right. Sorry for interjecting. Okay.
It's okay. Okay. So in that case, we'll move to item number 8. It's a CEO update. Jill.
Thank you very much, Lawrence. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for welcoming me to my first KFC.
hard to hear.
Can you hear me better now?
No.
Can you hear me better now?
No.
No? Okay, let me try one minute. Apologies.
Using the microphone on your computer.
Is that better? Is that better?
It's slightly.
Slightly better.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay.
A little bit. Yeah.
A little bit. I'll try and speak very close to the microphone. My apologies.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for welcoming me to my first AFRC meeting. I'm delighted to be here and continuing to keep things moving in the coming months with the team. We are now working on our 2024 budget, as many of you are aware, with the city and TCHC, and a consolidated submission will be forthcoming, and we will be providing further information on this in today's meeting, as you're aware. I'd also like to provide a bit of an update as we get into the discussion today about the work that's being done on risk management. We're currently finalizing details to procure external resources to support the work on an enterprise risk management framework. That framework will also include a risk-based assessment and also a risk mitigation plan associated with that work. So Grant will be providing further information about the work we intend to do before the end of this year and work that will carry into 2024. And so Grant will provide some more information on that. And on that note, I'm going to hand things back to Lawrence to get us into the rest of the agenda.
Thank you, Jill. Brenda, please go ahead.
You're on mute, Brenda.
Sorry, do that all the time. Sorry, thank you. What will be included in the risk mitigation plan, or what are the range of risks we're looking at?
I will let Brant, I'll give you a little bit more information on that.
And we're using an outside consultant for that, aren't we?
Brant?
Yeah, so through the chair, and thank you for the question, Brenda. So we're going to be looking at our risks holistically across the organization, and we're going to be looking to use some existing frameworks as a reference point for developing a TSHC specific risk, enterprise risk framework. So we'll be looking at different types of risks from different lenses. So that'll include financial risks, human resources risks, physical risks. So there'll be a blend of different risk categories, and essentially it'll put together a framework for us to ultimately be able to do a risk assessment. So look at the risks that we in those categories and actually do a more detailed dive into each of them to identify the level of risk that we may be presented with. So in a priority sort of view, and then we will take that and evolve that into a risk mitigation plan. So actually specifically, what are the actions that we'd want to consider undertaking to address those risks on a priority basis? So the starting point is to basically develop the framework. From the framework, we'll do the assessment. There's likely going to be a policy component to it as well, and then there'll be a plan. All of that we are looking to retain an external resource to support us with, and we're in the process of working on the procurement to do that, to go out fairly soon to the market to get that resource, and then hopefully have them on board before the year is completed, and to start that work late this year and continue into early next year.
And so it looks like I thought it had gone out. The RFP had gone out. So
it
there
has
was-
not. So we
Okay.
are still in the process of finalizing that. It has not been issued yet.
Okay. And the two items I'm concerned about are, I guess, somewhat classified under environmental, and that is loss of hydro in our buildings, and related to that, loss of the function of elevators. Given that all our buildings have elevators and all our seniors obviously can't be using stairs with walkers and chairs and canes. So, and we have had experiences in the public sector housing with months of people not having access to elevators. So I'd like to highlight that one, given the particular vulnerability of our seniors. Okay. And related to that, environmental risk as well, because I think there's going to be personally, I believe there's going to be brownouts going forward. Not so much blackouts, but brownouts, because this is what's being experienced in Quebec, because they divert all their hydro to New York State, as you know. And the second one is the issue of flooding, which is often linked to these environmental. I think these will have particular impacts on our community and our buildings. So I just want to make sure those sorts of things are covered, not just the traditional ones in the past, financial risk, et cetera, but the quality of life and what on earth would we do if we had 2 months with no elevator in some of our buildings? And I think we have to seriously look at that.
And through the chair, and I know Brad's put his hand up. I'll just say really quickly that those elements will be brought into scope for consideration.
Okay.
And I also want to sort of reassure the committee that there are already existing protocols and procedures in place to deal with major incidents. So when an elevator goes out, or if there is a flooding situation in a building, and that possibly is what Brad could speak to. And that is work that is done in concert with Toronto Community Housing as well.
Yeah.
So the work on this front will involve working with different stakeholders, including TCHC. But those things you brought up will be considerations in the development of this framework. We're also looking at doing a longer term piece of work on a business continuity plan as well, which would actually extend upon some of the things you're talking about.
Thank you, because I know there are some plans in place, but I don't think they really are designed to deal with extended closures and extended shutdowns. And, typically elevators can hopefully get repaired within 24 hours, but I'm projecting ahead of what happens. I lived through this one time with my son in his building, and it was 3 days, and, he's in a wheelchair, so literally he was housebound. Well, if that was 2 months, trying to find parts for old elevators. I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much.
Brad, and later, I think, followed by Fareed.
Through the chair, it was one of the outcomes of the ice storm when TCHC had that happen.
Yes.
There's been a
Yes.
very robust move to convert all of our generators to natural gas, which supply significantly more power and
Okay.
provides elevator service during any interruption of hydro.
Thank you, Brad. Fareed?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. And my point is related to the point Brad just made. I think we also need grants to manage expectations because there's some broader public policy and environmental considerations that are managed beyond the TSHC. Some of those considerations are happening at the city level and the TCHC level. So we also need to make sure that we're reflecting in the risk mitigation, risk management plan, some of those broader considerations as well. So I just want to make sure that some of these issues are not unique to us. They extend outside of this organization. And so the extent to which we delve into it would probably be a bit unique to our consideration, but there's some broader considerations that are happening outside us at the city level and TCHC level that we can draw on as well.
Thank you, Fareed.
Thank you. If just really quickly, I know you want to close this one out. There are existing risk management artifacts, frameworks at the city that we'll work with. There are folks at the city that work on this specifically, and also within TCHC, they have an enterprise risk management framework as well. So we won't be starting from scratch. And you're right, some of those issues are beyond our direct control.
Thank you, Grant. Okay, if we don't have any further questions, let us move to item number 9. That's Q2 2023 financial result. Vince.
Thank you, and through the chair, good afternoon. You might have seen the result posted on our website, so I'm not going to go too much into detail on that, but I just wanted to sort of highlight the main points for the result for the first 6 months of this year. Overall, the result came in slightly positive overall for TSHC, with a slight surplus for the first 6 months compared to budget. This is mainly due to the deferred grant from the city and also from the revenue unadjusted from TCHC and the interest income. From an expense perspective wise, it was slightly higher in the areas of salaries and benefits due to one-time adjustments made earlier in the year, and also a adjustment or additional expenses in the professional services. But outside of those two areas, the expenses were in line overall. As you can see, there is a slight small surplus, and that surplus is a result of the interest income that was earned for the first 6 months of this year. In terms of the balance sheet and in the statement of financial position, cash is at $5.8 million. The rest of it entails the completions. The rest entails, the information relating to the balance sheet, and it looks consistent with the overall process. Anything from a significant standpoint that we've discussed for July and August, everything remains quite consistent overall. The only thing would be just the cash. The cash has just gone down from 5.8 to 4.8 million dollar as of the end of August. So overall, we are operating at a consistent level, and those informations are available on our website if you want to take more. That concludes number 9 on the item there.
Vince, I have a couple of questions on this. You know, the revenue from TCHC, the budgeted amount is 15.63 million, whereas actual is 18.54, with a favorable variance of 2.9 million. And you use the term unadjusted. Can you please explain that?
Yes. So for the first 6 months of this year, and also continuing up until the end of this month, we've been using the same advance from TCHC of $3.094 million that has been agreed since 2022. Since the beginning of 2023, the budget was supposed to be adjusted due to the adjustments in the overall operating expenses, but they have not done so. There will be a true up done in the fourth quarter, which will result in that adjustment, and that right now imbalance of the $2.9 million will be adjusted back towards what the budget amount will be. So you would anticipate that there will be that adjustment and true up done in the month of October, which will be part of the fourth quarter results information.
A bit, you know, we will be discussing this reconciliation later today, but I think what, if you look at the reconciliation statement and compare it this one, reconciliation statement shows a lower amount, whereas here, I'm just concerned that we are inflating our revenues, and so
Well,
true up will be, yeah, go ahead, please. Yeah.
Right, through the chair. Yeah. So
Yeah.
the reconciliation is done through the advancement. So that is, we can certainly go into detail in the in-camera session and discuss a bit more in that area. But for our purposes here, this would be what the amount net of that, and which is the $3.094 million. So you will see that at the end of the year, and also the end of the fourth quarter, the adjustment will be made, and the proper true up will be done. But yeah, I think it's through the chair right now, it's a little bit difficult to go through simply because we have not really, we'll talk a bit more in the in-camera session relating to that reconciliation process there.
Yeah, yeah, we'll certainly discuss that, because that's a bit of concern for me, because we have two sets of actual numbers now. Yeah, as per our statement of operations or income statement, we are showing excess of revenue orders of 151,793 with a 2.91 variance in your revenue. Whereas if we go into the reconciliation, we have got a smaller amount there. It's at 563,000 only. We'll discuss it later in the in-camera session with more details. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, a few more questions, a couple of more. On page 11, you say most or all of the professional services will end by 31st August. Have they ended?
To the chair, yes, correct. They have ended. I believe all of the professional services and the extensions of any of the staff has ended. There has been no further extension in any of the professional services that we are aware of. So all of their contract ended as of that period. So I believe the last extension that we did had about 4 people in there on that list, and and they've all been ended as of the end of August. Correct.
Okay, thank you. Any other members? Questions to Vince?
Just a quick one following on the point you just made. At one point, we had discussed hiring a lawyer, particularly for audit function. And I guess that got put to one side because of our budget concerns. So how are our legal services component of our needs being covered now?
Through the chair, if I through the chair, so our legal services right now are being done through a third party. So we have that to assist us in that area. And
the third party, is it with a company or a person?
Through a company, correct.
Which,
through the same company that we had done since 2021, 2022 year. I was
yes, I remember them. Yeah,
yeah.
They did.
This is the same company that we were dealing with, but we have not used them extensively overall in the last probably last a year now, just because we don't have any sort of activity in there. But yes, correct. Through the chair, that we are using a third party.
Will we continue using them going forward?
To my knowledge, yes, I believe so. I mean, there's no indication.
And that will be shown where? Under professional services?
Yes, it will be under legal and professional services in that, correct.
So could at a different point, maybe not right now, but maybe later on in the meeting, could I have a breakout of what those legal service, the costs are?
Certainly, certainly.
I just want to know what we're paying and what we're getting for what we're paying.
Mhm.
And sorry about that.
Yeah, okay.
That's it.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Oh, hi. Okay, so it's
Yeah, please
Councilor
go ahead.
Kazanti. So I had some technical issues. I realized, and I apologize if the committee would, allow me. In the last item, when we were discussing, I think the issue about elevators, I think Brenda asked a very good question along that line, and so on. If you allow me, I had just I could not get myself out of mute. I just did that now. I've been working on it for a few minutes here. I just learned that aside from my mute feature on my phone, there's another *6 mute feature in the system. So I just, anyway, so that's what delayed me. Would it be okay if I just...
Welcome to my land.
Yeah,
There
certainly.
you go.
Yeah,
If you don't
please.
mind,
Yeah,
a
certainly, Councillor.
clarification.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. And so, no, I absolutely agree. Elevators are a life and safety issue. I can't tell you the number of times in the past I've had residents in high-rise buildings that were, had issues and problems, and they're not mobile. They can't take the stairs. Anyway, we know how critical elevators are. So I want to learn more about what emergency processes we have in place should things fail, and also when when it comes to climate control, out of our 83 buildings,
That's right.
do we? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So out of the 83 buildings under our portfolio, when it comes to climate control, you know how some buildings, things that are controlled centrally, we don't turn on the ability for, sort of the heating is turned on at a certain time of year, the air is turned on at a certain time of year, and sometimes those times don't align with the extreme weather we're having outside, and people suffer. So is there, so what do we do about that? And is that a problem right now that we're concerned with? I know it's been a problem up at my end. So what do we have in place that could help mitigate that and that will resolve those issues?
Grant, would you like to?
If I could,
Yeah.
Lawrence, it's Jill.
Yeah, yeah, Jill. Okay, go ahead.
Through the chair, Councilor.
Oh, Jill. Hi, Jill.
Hi there, how are you? Through the chair, Councilor Prasanti, I might suggest, if the committee feels it's appropriate, that we could bring back a separate presentation on the emergency procedures. I'm not sure if it's for this committee or CGH or CGHRC, but a presentation on the emergency procedures, including the climate control. I'm sure we can work with Brad and get something pulled together to bring back to the committee. That's a fairly party subject, and I think it'd be worthwhile taking you through some of that in detail at one of our at our next meeting, if that's something the committee would agree to.
Good idea.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to put it out there. I think we need to look at that and what procedures and emergency procedures we have in place on both ends, climate control. All right, and that was it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Jill. Any other questions? Okay, if we don't have any further questions, it's time for us to move into the closed session. I need a motion to that effect.
No.
No move, Mr.
Farid,
Chair.
moved by Farid, and I need a seconder. Warren? Yeah, I think you're on mute, and seconded by Warren. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. So let us move into the closed session.
Okay. Live stream has ended.